Welcome. So we're going to start in Adho Mukha Virasana, also known as Child's Pose. Big toes together. Have your knees wide enough apart so that when you stretch forward, your side ribs rest on your inner thighs. Arms are straight. Have the palms of the hands stretched. Press the lengths of the fingers down into the floor, the fingerprints also. Shoulders away from the ears. The back of the neck is long. Let the breathing throughout the class be both in and out through the nose. And now coming up into Adho Mukha Svanasana, also known as Downward Dog. So your hands are as wide as the mat, your feet are hip width. You can hold on to the fabric of the side of the mat if this is easier for you to prevent your hands from slipping. You can keep your legs bent initially whilst you move your shoulder blades deep into the body. The arms in this pose are very similar to the previous pose. So unfold the legs, pressing the fronts of the thighs back, opening the back of the knees. Lift the shins as you extend the heels back and down. Lengthen your lower back towards the buttocks and feel your hips lift up as your heels reach down. And the neck is just released. And then briefly coming back down into Adho Mukha Virasana, the kneeling position. And from there, coming up onto all fours. So place your hips over your knees, your shoulders over your wrists. Spread the palms of the hands, lengthen the fingers. And make sure you're not dipping your lumbar. Keep your waist back, so not like this, or rounding the shoulders like this. But just keeping your spine long. And then turn the hands out to the side. Keep the shoulders away from the ears. And be aware of where the weight is distributed throughout the wrists and the hands. And then turn the hands so that the fingers point back towards your knees. Arms are straight. Shoulders away from the ears each time. And keep your navel drawing back towards the spine, your waist moving back to ensure you're not dipping into your lumbar. And then finally turn the hands so that the fingers point in towards one another. Again, squeeze the arms straight. And now you're going to place your elbows down onto the mat, shoulder width apart, interlace the hands, curl your toes under, lift the hips up. Just let the head hang. The frontal thighs move back toward the bone, and you're pressing your shoulder blades, squeezing them into the body. And now you're going to come up into Uttanasana. So come up to standing, have the feet hip width initially, hands onto the hips, and extend the body forwards. Put the fingertips onto the floor so that your hips are over your heels again, shoulders are over your wrists. Lengthen the front body. So move the sternum forward. Keep the lower back reaching towards the buttocks. And if you feel you can let the palms of the hands come down flat. You can start to bend the arms, letting your torso move closer to your legs. Press the soles of the feet down as you stretch your legs up. And if you feel you can move the feet together, then do. Squeeze the hips towards one another. You can walk the hands back either side of the feet. Press the hands into the floor. You can have the arms bent and the shoulders move away from the ears, away from the floor. The back of the neck is long. And the breath is smooth and steady. You can walk the hands back so the fingertips point towards the back end of the mat. This helps to bring the hips over the heels and the face closer to the shins. And then coming back up. So hands back up onto the hips, roll the shoulders back, and come back up to standing. So just standing with your feet together, you can hold on to the elbows and bring the arms up overhead. Press the feet down into the floor as you stretch your arms up. So really draw the elbows and the feet in opposite directions. Keep the center line of the buttocks gripped in and the front of the thighs and the waist move back. Don't arch the back like this, sticking your hips out, and don't lift the head. Keep your tailbone in, your waist back. Change the cross of the arms. Press the feet down as you reach your elbows up. Chin is level with the floor. And then from there, we're going to go into Trikonasana. So turn to face me, feet together. Inhale, bend the knees. Exhale, spring the legs apart or step if you have an injury. You're going to turn your right leg out and your left toes in slightly and slightly externally rotate both thighs. Reach over to the right so that your right hand is holding onto the right leg and the left arm is stretching up. Avoid bringing your body forwards just in an effort to get down to the floor. You're much better off to stay up so that you can turn your abdomen and your ribs more towards the ceiling. If you can bring the lower hand down to the floor as long as it doesn't compromise your alignment. You want to feel as if you're in a very narrow space, not sticking the buttocks out. You can turn your head and look down towards the floor for a while to rest the neck. It also helps you to be aware of what that bottom shoulder's doing. You want to keep that rolled back. And then coming up, turn the right toes in and the left leg out. Keep your torso facing forwards, extend the arms, Trikonasana to the left. So let the breath be smooth and steady. Again, turning the abdomen, the navel, the ribs, and keeping that right shoulder, that left shoulder, back. Extend the right arm up. And if you feel you can bring the left fingertips to the floor, then do. Again, turning the head to release the neck and to keep that bottom shoulder gripped back. And then coming back up to the center. Turn both feet to face forward. You're going to move into Prasarita Padottanasana. Hands onto the hips. Lift the frontal hip bones up. Keep the waist moving back. And hinging at the hips, coming down with the torso. And you can hold the ankles. Keep the collarbones broad, the elbows reaching for the sides of the room, and the shoulders away from the ears. The shoulder blades feel as if they're gripping towards one another and moving towards the waist. Press evenly through both feet and see that you haven't dropped the inner arches of the feet. Keep the inner ankles lifted. You can move the feet closer together to help you lengthen the spine more if your head comes down very easily to the floor. So just stay here with steady, smooth breath. Legs feeling long, spine feeling long. And now from here, you're going to come back up, hands onto the hips, and we're going to move into Virabhadrasana 2. So you're going to turn to the right. So turn your left toes in slightly, turn the right leg out. You're going to make sure you grip that left hip in as you move into it, bending your right leg to a right angle. Have the arms extended out to the side, and your gaze is along the top of that right arm. Avoid dipping in the lumbar. So you need to feel as if you're keeping your frontal hip bones lifted and your waist back. Keep squeezing that right knee back and the left thigh back. And then coming up, and we'll go to the other side. So again, lift the frontal hip bones to ensure your pelvis is level and that you won't be arching into your lower back. Moving into the pose by gripping that right hip in. And don't reach over, don't lean over with your torso. Keep the head and the shoulders above the hips. And if you can, move so that you have a right angle. And if you need to lengthen the pose, do. Often people step too short into this pose. You want to end up with your knee over your heel and a right angle if you can. And then coming back up. And we're going to move back into Prasarita Padottanasana once more. So turn so that both feet face forward. This time you're going to reach your arms forward like in Adho Mukha Svanasana, like in Downward Dog. Keep your hips back in line with your heels. And then you bend your arms, placing the heels of the hands in line with the heels of the feet if you can. You keep your elbows squeezing in so that they're shoulder width. And as you press the hands down, the shoulders lift away from the floor. So it's quite common for you to roll your hips forward, for you to bring the hips too far forward. So try and press the hips back. Keep the frontal thighs lifted. And then from there, coming back up, hands onto the hips. And you can jump or step back into Tadasana. And then from there, we're going to move down into Janu Shirshasana. So bring the right heel towards the right groin and stretch the right arm up with the left hand onto the floor. Lift your chest and reach forwards. Pull on the ball of the foot to help you lift the chest more. And you're pressing both legs into the floor, the bent leg and the straight leg press down. Keep lengthening the sternum forward. And you can see how it's a very slow process coming down. Just take your time. You can hold around the foot with both hands. Lift the elbows, widen the elbows. This helps you to feel wide in the chest, wide in the collarbones. And eventually the forehead rests down onto the shin. And now we're going to come up and change legs for the other side. Stretch the left arm up and extend forwards. The bent leg side tends to hang back, that side of the torso, because of the bent leg. So that's why initially you just reach forward with one hand to help you bring those side ribs forwards. And then you can bring the other arm forward also. Shoulders down, sternum moving forwards, crown of the head reaching toward the toes. And eventually both hands holding onto the ball of the foot or around the ball of the foot. Again, elbows wide and lifted. See the soft curve through the length of the spine rather than a hunched, rounded upper back. You need to strive to move the sternum forward and the crown of the head forward. Very gradually bringing the forehead down towards the shin. And then slowly coming up. And we're going to move into Svastikasana now. Simple cross legs. So I'm going to sit facing you to show you. Avoid crossing at the ankles like this. Have your feet wider so that your feet are under the knees. So you're crossing mid-shin. Sit up tall first of all, pressing the fingertips down. And try not to push the abdomen forwards. Keep your waist back. Your lower back reaching down for the buttocks. So I'm going to turn from the side and show you from the side now so that you can see when you lengthen forwards, you need to keep the sternum moving forwards. You walk the hands forwards. And I'm keeping the shoulders away from the ears, not rounding the back in an effort to get the head to the floor. Shoulders away from the ears, keep that space between them. Very gradually lengthening the front body. You can rest the head down onto the hands. Let the abdomen be broad and the breathing smooth and steady. And then we're going to come up and change to the other side. Spend time lengthening the front body, pressing the hands down, lifting the chest, slowly walking the hands forwards, keeping your waist back and the weight even in both buttock bones. Bring the head in line with the spine. No rush to bring the head down. Eventually letting the head rest down onto the hands or onto some folded blankets. Long, smooth, steady breath in and out through the nose. And then coming up. And you're going to remain in a cross-legged position. I'm going to turn to face you. We're going to bring the hands into Badanguliasana, so interlacing the hands. Turn them around so that the palms face the ceiling. The hands are on top of the head. Elbows are wide and back. And then you squeeze the elbows in and you stretch the palms of the hands up towards the ceiling. Keep the waist back, the frontal hip bones lifting. Imagine that knees were weighted, were heavy. And it can help actually to have some heavy blankets folded over the legs. Change the interlace of the hands. And then come back up again, squeezing the elbows in. Lengthening your arms, pressing the palms of the hands up towards the ceiling. And now we're going to do some side twists in Svastikasana. So you're going to turn to your right. And don't lean forwards or backwards. Just stay very level so that the head and the shoulders remain above the hips. And then turning to the other side. Turn the abdomen, the chest and the shoulders. And the head just glances to the side. Avoid lifting the knee. You want to keep the knees gripped down. And now we're going to get into Savasana. So lay down onto the mat, lengthen the back of the neck. Lengthen the lower back by lifting the buttocks slightly and scooping them towards the feet. You can hold on to the side of the mat and squeeze your legs straight. And then just place the hands onto the abdomen. Make sure your shoulders are away from your ears. Feel the abdomen rise and fall with your breath. The eyelids gently close down, and behind the closed eyelids, the eyes receding back in the sockets. Let the breath be slow and steady. Straighten your arms now, so they're on the floor a little way away from your body, palms facing the ceiling. And with your next exhalation, completely relax. Let the whole body just release. The bones heavy, muscles dropping away from the bones. Let go of all the tiny muscles in the face, so you're holding no facial expression. Let the outer corners of the eyes, nose and mouth completely release. all of the tiny lines there disappear. Be aware of the spaces where you're neither breathing in or breathing out, but when you're absolutely still, each time you exhale, just letting go that little bit more. The whole body soft and relaxed. And now very gradually you're going to start to come away from Shavasana. So you can bend up the legs, you can bring the hands to the face and let the breath be a little more enlivened. Roll over onto your right hand side and push yourself up to sitting. Sitting back in Svastikasana, palms of the hands together at the chest, the eyes closed, the head bowed. Namaste. Thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to see more videos like this, please click like and subscribe to the channel.